Hi everyone! As you know, you may not know, but I posted a few things on Instagram about this video. So you know that I'm here to talk about anxiety, and it is way harder than I thought. It's just really hard to talk about yourself, and because I'm gonna be very vulnerable with you guys, I don't know, it's so hard. I just wanted to go through some of my experiences and share them with you and try to give you as many tips as I can. So I think we should start. I'm not used to, filming myself just like this, just talking. It's making me a little uncomfortable, to be honest, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Anxiety is something very irrational, I think. It just comes out of nowhere. Sometimes there's no reason for you to be anxious, but you do feel very, very anxious. Same with panic attacks. Sometimes you'll have a panic attack for no reason at all. And I think that's the most annoying about anxiety it's just that sometimes it doesn't make sense and it comes out of nowhere. You could be in the most happy place with the people you love and suddenly feel like crap and very anxious and you'll get a panic attack. I had my very first panic attack, I think it was in 2014. I was with a friend in the subway in Paris and suddenly I started to feel like I was gonna die. I thought I was having a heart attack. My heart was uneven, it was bumping very hard. I couldn't breathe anymore, my throat was very, very tight. It was very hot, very cold. And though I was in the subway, everything became silence. Like I couldn't hear anything. It was just, I don't know, I don't even know. It's really hard to describe it, but I felt dizzy, I felt like I'm gonna be sick, and I had this feeling of fear, like I was afraid of something and I had no idea what it was. All I knew is that I had to get out of the subway as quickly as possible. So I did leave the subway and I did the best I could to go back to the apartment where I was staying as fast as possible because I needed to be by myself in a quiet room, laying on a bed and just, try to relax and breathe again. It was a very, very scary experience, and I know if you had experienced any panic attack, you know that it's the most terrifying thing that you could ever experience. It's something completely irrational. You don't understand why you're feeling this way. It's really hot. I'm gonna go there. I'll just wait for the fireplace to get a little colder. So after this experience I had in the subway, I wasn't really concerned because it only happened to me once. And for the next few months, I wasn't feeling anxious at all. So I just thought, oh, that was super scary, but maybe it was just like a claustrophobic moment. Maybe I felt super claustrophobic in the subway, and that could happen to anyone. A few months later, I started to feel anxious again for no specific reasons other than we were moving from Vancouver to LA at that time. And I think because we didn't have any specific plans for LA, like we didn't really know where we were gonna live or what we were gonna do. Maybe that big change in my life triggered a little my anxiety, but I still wasn't very concerned. Suddenly it just became like more and more and more. Like I felt more anxious, and then I had more and more panic attacks, and then at that time I still didn't know it was panic attacks, what I was having. So I started to read about it and then do my research. Even Alex, who didn't know what was going on with me, bought a book so we can read it together and just, try to figure out what was happening. I was reading a lot about it. We listened to a lot of podcasts. We came to the conclusion that I had panic disorder. And I can say that now because I see a doctor and she told me that I have panic disorder. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said it. I'm gonna give you a few examples of really bad anxiety that I had. I was living in a house with some friends for the winter. And at that time, I remember I had at least 5 or 6 panic attacks per day for 2 months. This is when I started to take it very, very seriously. I was just telling myself, this is not normal. I can't have 5 panic attacks a day for 2 months. If you already experience a panic attack, you know how exhausting it is. I remember being so tired all the time. Body spends so much energy trying to fight against it that when it's gone, like, you're just exhausted. I don't know what happened that year. I still don't know why I was having those panic attacks. I was in a beautiful house. I was surrounded by awesome friends. Alex was there. Everything was doing okay for me, but I was feeling like crap. I can give you a few examples. Almost impossible for me at that time to be in the car and to drive. I was having, every time I was driving, I had to stop, I had to pull over every 5-10 minutes because I was having a panic attack when I was driving. I was feeling trapped because I couldn't drive anywhere anymore. And I couldn't even be in the car. When Alex was driving, I had to ask him to stop the car every 10 minutes because I had to get out of the car, try to calm myself and breathe. I was basically stuck in the house for 2 months. I was scared to go to restaurants. I was scared to go to the mall because, you know, I was... I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it because it doesn't make any sense. Other example I have is skiing, for example. It was Morgan's birthday and we went skiing because Whitefish is a ski resort and we wanted to go have fun. Everything went great until I went on the chairlift and my brain wanted me to jump. I felt so trapped on that chairlift that a part of my brain wanted me to get out of there. I couldn't breathe, I was hot. I was having a panic attack on a chairlift. Long story short, I didn't jump, obviously. Ski down back to the car as fast as possible. I don't even know how I managed to ski down because I was like, this panic attack lasted for an hour. It was awful. I remember skiing down to the car and telling Alex, we have to go back home, we have to go back home. It was the end of the day anyway, so we did go back home. On the way back, again, I had to get out of the car in the middle of the road. I ran so far away from the car and started crying a lot. I was just so tired. I was just so tired of those 2, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. I think when I got out of that car, I was so tired and exhausted of 2 months of, you know, constant anxiety and feeling exhausted all the time. And I think something needed to get out. And I cried for the first time in 2 months. And I just ran from the car so far away. I'm so sorry, oh my God. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm being super emotional right now. It's just maybe just talking about it. I remember running really far away from the car and sitting in the snow in the middle of nowhere, which sounds very stupid now that I'm saying it out loud. And I think it actually felt amazing. It actually felt really, really good to cry, letting everything out, like, for the first time. That was another example of anxiety. I have a few other ones. I think the worst for me, and this is still pretty new because it happened for the first time last year, is flying. I am now terrifying of flying because I had my very first panic attack on a plane last year. Actually, flying, it was my biggest fear to have a panic attack on a plane because As you know, traveling, I travel for work, and also my family lives really far away, so it's impossible for me not to travel anymore. Having a panic attack on the plane is terrifying because you have no exit. Every time I have a panic attack, I'm looking for an exit. I'm looking for somewhere else to be. And on a plane, you have no exit and you feel trapped. It's not even a fear of crashing in the plane, or, I'm not even thinking about, oh, the plane is gonna crash. I'm just thinking about I'm gonna be stuck in this little plane for 8 hours or 9 or 10. And this freaks me out. This is still pretty new to me, and I still try to figure it out. It's the one that I'm the most disappointing of, because when that happened to me for the first time, this is when I decided that I won't let my anxiety control my life. So I know that anxiety changed me a lot. I literally wake up every morning wondering how my day is going to be, wondering if I'm going to be anxious, wondering if it's going to be a good day or a bad day. This is where I am right now, is wondering, looking every single details about my day and wondering if certain situations are going to make me feel anxious or not. But at least I know now, I know myself way better with anxiety. I learn how to deal with it better. I know in advance if certain situations will trigger an anxiety or not, even though sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. For example, yesterday we had to drive to a lake with 5 people in the car, and Alex immediately asked me, are you going to be okay if you sit in the front? Because I can't. He knows that it's hard for me to be with a lot of people in one car, for example. Like little details like this in life that became more difficult for me because I just overthink, and I'm always scared that I'm gonna have a panic attack somewhere in public, which I hate. I guess that's how my life is now, is just wondering all the time if I'm gonna be okay. So I decided to do something about it. I'm gonna give you my tips, basically, on how I deal with anxiety. But before talking about that, I want to say one more time that I am not a doctor. It's not my place to give you tips about medicine or whatever, because I don't know what I'm talking about if I start talking about medicine, because it's not my... I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor, and I don't use them. So those tips works for me. It may not work for you. We are very different. We react differently to anxiety, and we all have different reasons, that we feel anxious. So this is just my personal experience, and those are my personal things that works for me. This is a very personal choice, but I decided to not take medicine. I tried to find any solutions that I can instead of taking medicine. First thing that I did is to talk about it. Talk about it with your partner, your family, and your friends. I think it's very important that the people around you know what you're dealing with. I'm a very shy person, and for me, talking about very personal stuff with friends, even with friends, it was difficult because I was scared of them judging me, or which is stupid because they're your friends and they're not there to judge you. I lied so many times to people when I was having panic attack, and I was so embarrassed to tell them that I was just saying, oh, I'm sorry, I don't feel really well, I have to go back home now. Now at least I know that they know. It makes me feel way more confident around them. I have panic disorder, and it's such a big part of me now that I feel that the people who are in my life should know that I have this little problem. What I did after is see a psychiatrist. I'm not embarrassed anymore to say it, because I was, which again is stupid. I'm not embarrassed to say that I do see someone about it. Those people are professionals and they know how the brain works. So the first thing that I said to my psychiatrist when I went to see her for the first time is that I'm not interested in medicine. I'm here to talk about it and try to understand what's going on in my brain whenever I have a panic attack. Also, I use a lot of essential oils. I have a friend here, a close friend. She's really into essential oils, and I've never been into oils. Like, I've never used them, or I didn't even know how it worked, where to put them, what to use. That friend gave me a blend that she made herself for me before I took a flight a few months ago, and it helped me so much. I don't want to go too much into details about essential oils because I don't know enough, even though like oils are what works the best for me. Like, it's incredible how it works. Maybe it's all in my head, I don't know, and I don't really care because it does work for me. I always loved smelling things, so I react really well with smells. There's tons of different oils out there, and I know that. So if you guys are interested in oils, I could make another video with my friend because she knows everything. And I could tell you a little bit more about the oils that I use. If you are interested in that, leave a comment and tell me if you have questions, because she will be more than happy to do that video with me. Oils are just the best. Like, they become your best friend. I have them everywhere. I have one here in my purse, and I have a few on my nightstand because this is what I do every night, is using them. If I could say one thing about oils though, is you have to be very careful if you want to use them, because I made a mistake once, and that mistake was a blend that my friend did for me. I used it on the plane a lot, and the only problem now is whenever I smell it now or whenever I use it, it reminds me of a bad situation, or it reminds me of whenever I was having a panic attack. So if you do want to use oils, my advice will be to use them every day as a routine, and that's what I do with my oils. Use them every night as a routine, so whenever I have to use them on the plane or whenever I have a panic attack, it doesn't always remind me of something bad. It will remind me of my night routine, you know, before going to bed. Remind me of something good instead of something bad. I can totally relate to what I'm saying, because I'm sure if you smell a perfume somewhere, it will remind you of someone or a certain time in your life. Oils are the same. The hardest place for me to try to feel better is on the plane. What I do on the plane now is, and you can make fun of me if you want, but it's those coloring books. It's incredible how it works, because the first time I bought one, I was a little skeptical. Did you say that? But I tried it anyways, and it's insane how it works. Like, your mind is completely focused on your coloring. So it's just, I don't know, it worked really well for me. So what I do now on the plane is put a movie, or like 5 movies, depends how long the flight is, and use this coloring book all the time. And the oils, of course, but coloring book, movie, try to be busy all the time, so my mind is somewhere else instead of, you know, thinking of me being in that small plane for hours and hours. It doesn't work all the time, I'm not gonna lie, but I'll say like 70% out of the time it works. Now, the most important tip is to accept and fight. What I mean by accepting it is stop ignoring it, stop fighting against it. You need to stop getting mad at yourself. You need to stop being disappointed on yourself. This will make things worse. If you don't accept the fact that your body is telling you something, you'll never get better. I try to accept it, and whenever I have a panic attack, instead of fighting against it, I just let it do its thing. Whenever I have a panic attack now, I try to breathe as much as possible. I try to calm myself, but I'm not fighting against it. And that's what I used to do. And that's why I cried so much. And that's why I was exhausting. And even though now, when I have a panic attack, it is still exhausting, I still cry sometimes, but it's just, I just need to let my body do whatever he's doing. Just a fear, an irrational fear, but it's there and it won't last forever. And you know that, even though it's hard to tell you. The self-talk is really important. So it's hard, like, even though when you have a panic attack you feel like you're dying, you're not gonna die. It took me so long to tell myself that whenever I have a panic attack. It took me years to be at that point where I have a panic attack. I'm just thinking really hard that, okay, I'm just scared of something right now, something is wrong, but I will be okay, I'm not gonna die, I'm not having a heart attack. This is way easier to say it than to do it. It doesn't work for me every time. Like sometimes I do really well and the self-talk in my head is so strong that it just calms me down, but sometimes the panic attack is so strong that there's nothing I can do about it and I freak out. And I think my last tip will be to fight, not to fight against the anxiety, but to fight to be better. What I mean by that is, for example, when I couldn't drive, I told myself, I cannot not drive anymore. I'm in Montana. Like this is not, there's no big cities around. You can't really walk. If you want to go somewhere, you have to drive. Like you can't do anything without driving here. Instead of, doing nothing about it, I forced myself every day to drive for 5 minutes, and then 10, and then 15, and then 20, until I felt completely confident and completely sure that I was doing okay driving. So that's what I mean by fighting, is if you're scared, I was scared to go on restaurants. Well, I forced myself on going out with friends and going to restaurant. I haven't tried ski yet, but I promise this year I'll try it again. Like all the things that scares you, those situations that makes you anxious, you have to keep doing it. It takes a long time. It took me a long time to feel better in the car. It took me a long time to feel completely fine in a restaurant. I'm sure it will take me a long time to feel better on the plane. So having Alex's support helped me in so many ways, because I don't feel alone in this, because he's helping me a lot every day, and because he knows me so well and he knows my anxiety really well now. He knows how to deal with it. I saw on Instagram a lot of questions about that too, like how does your partner help you? Well, and I know other people who are watching this and have anxiety know that whenever you have a panic attack or whenever you feel very anxious, you can't, at least that's how I am, but I can't really talk, I can't listen either. Alex tried at first to talk to me and talk and talk and talk and try to make me feel better, and telling me that I have his support, which is great, and I was very, very thankful for that. But like whenever I'm in this zone, of anxiety, I can't. Whatever he's saying is just, I don't hear him, and even though I listen to him, but it's just, for me, it makes no sense. So I'm completely shut down. So he learned how to deal with it too, because it's not easy for me to live with that, but it's not easy for him either. It's not easy to deal with a person who's anxious all the time and who can have a panic attack anytime. He's doing great, and I'm really, really thankful to have his support every day. And even when he's traveling and he's not here, he's always texting me and asking me how I feel, if I'm okay, and I know I can count on him all the time. So what we do now whenever I have a panic attack is just him being next to me. And that's all I need. It's his presence, is being able to hold his hand, and and I know he's there for me, and I feel safe when he's there. Yeah, I think if you are living with someone who's suffering from panic disorder, the best thing to do is to support and be there for that person. That's all that person needs, is your presence, and for you to understand that it's not easy. And even though it's hard to understand when you never experienced it, and I know that, but it's just, just be there and be supportive and patient. Anyways, I hope this video made sense. I hope this video is helpful in any way for you. It's a really exhausting and painful thing to live with, but there's always hope. And obviously I made a lot of improvements since I started to feel this way. Always solutions to fight against it and to feel better, and you'll get to know your body better. All those little tips that I gave you works for me. I hope it can work for you, and I hope it can help you. Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. And also, if you have stories to share with me, feel free, put a comment. And because I know I'm not alone in this. There's a lot of people feeling the same way as I do. So that's, and I think it's good to talk about it. And if we can all talk about it together, it will be great. I'm just trying to be strong, and life is so beautiful that I don't want to miss it because I feel anxious. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.